Paul Hardy. This is Terry Trueman. I'm here with Terry Trueman, the author of Stuck in Neutral, among several other young adult books.
Right.
And Terry, you're going to be touring North Central Washington a bit at different high schools, speaking to students about your novel.
Yep.
And so we wanted to ask you a few questions for the North Central Regional Library System.
Good. Looking forward to it.
All right. Stuck in Neutral is told from the point of view of a 14-year-old boy who is severely disabled by cerebral palsy. Where did you get the idea to tell this story?
There's an afterword on the very end of Stuck in Neutral where I discuss that, and it's I have a son. My son Sheehan is now 27. He was badly brain injured at his birth, or had some kind of congenital defect. We'll never know for sure. And I originally wrote a long narrative poem about him. Okay. If you want to not make your living as a writer, write long story poems, 40-page long poems. It's a good way to not make your living. So, you know, after 10 years after writing the poem, I approached the idea of a novel, and I came up with, what if his world is real different than it looks like it is? And that's where the idea for Stuck in Neutral came from. Okay.
So, the novel is obviously very autobiographical. Or it's not, that's my question actually. The novel, you say the story comes from definitely a place of a shared experience with someone.
Yeah, I think most great fiction is based on something that the writer has either lived through or been close enough to imagine living through. Of course, Stuck in Neutral is a story told from the point of view of a person who can't communicate and who the whole world thinks is a vegetable. And so it's clearly a work of imagination, but it's based on my real life experiences of being the father of a son, like Sean in the book, who only, I don't think my son has Sheehan's special gifts, but we never know. That's the secret of the novel, I think it is.
Would you be willing to tell us a little more about the poem that you wrote originally that you then say was not a good way to become a writer? So
well, it's a great way to become a writer, I think. It's not a good way to make your living.
Okay.
My favorite writers, most of my favorite writers of all time, did some poetry at some time or another. And my favorite author wrote mostly poetry. But the poem Sheehan, which is my son's name, Sheehan Trueman. The poem Sheehan was very painful and difficult to write. It was really about my story, and I was not a strong enough person to deal with his condition well at all. I didn't abandon him and his mother, but she threw me out of the house. I was so worthless at helping her. Everybody has bad things happen to them in life, you know. So this was mine. This is my personal sort of Holocaust moment, I suppose, where you really get face to face. What did Nietzsche say? You look down into the abyss and you realize the abyss is looking back at you. That was it for me with this. And then, you know, 10 years of semi-suicidal acting out behavior and not becoming dead led me to, I'm going to have to do something different with this experience, and that's where the idea for Stuck in Neutral came up. I had no idea the book could do what it's done. I didn't know it would sell 250,000 copies, be translated into numerous languages, and be selling as well today, 7 years after it came out, as it was right after it won the Prince Honor Book Award. It's just a miracle what happened with that book. Like the Energizer Bunny of books that keeps marching along.
That's wonderful. And one of the things that's interesting to me is that you write junior fiction. Is there a specific age group that you are shooting for?
Well, your mom and I were talking about this as we were warming up the camera. I don't write junior fiction.
Okay.
I write stories for smart readers.
Right.
You're 22 years old. You read the book. You just told me you liked it. Your mom is over 22 because she's like your mom, so she has to be over 22. And she liked the book. I've had 11-year-olds and 10-year-olds write me emails telling me how much they love the book. I've had grandparents tell me they love the book. I write for smart readers, and the concession I make is my stories all have teenage protagonists, main characters. But I don't write just for teens.
Yeah.
I mean, I think that's part of the secret of my success is I never write down to kids.
Right.
I write stories that I want every single reader to go, wow, this is really good. And teenagers are as smart as, some teenagers are much smarter than many grown-ups and adults and vice versa. So, you know, it's for smart readers. Oh, I was going to say, the concession I make is I have a teenage protagonist, and I'm edited and marketed for young adults.
Right. So you as junior fiction writer is more after the fact of writing. That's
the publishing, the way publishing works in New York is they put you in a genre,
right,
and that's what you have to do. Or you can not do it and not make a living. But
right.
I like Corvettes and motorcycles, so I do what they tell me to do.
Would you be willing to tell us a little bit about your other novels? Because Stuck in Neutral was your first novel, right?
No, I don't want to tell. I don't want to tell you. No, I'm just kidding. I'm kidding.
Okay.
I'm kidding. Actually, when your mom and I were discussing this interview, she said, "Is there anything you'd like me to ask?" And I said, "Well, yeah, ask me what other books I've read." Because a lot of kids think that their readers think the only book I ever wrote was Stuck in Neutral. Stuck in Neutral was my first.
Okay.
Inside Out was my second novel. It's about a boy who has schizophrenia and is stuck in a coffee shop robbery gone bad. It's more of an intense page-turner, plot-based story than Stuck in Neutral. Cruise Control is a companion to Stuck in Neutral, told from Sean's brother, Paul's point of view. After that came No Right Turn, which is a story about magic, the magic that a 1976 Corvette Stingray can create in a person's life. Okay. And 7 Days in the Hot Corner is a story about obsessive, compulsive sort of behavior and how the things that shock your world move you away from that. It's a baseball story, a diversity story, a homophobia story. It's got a lot of different elements to it. And my novel will come out this coming March. Will it be out by the time people see this? No, because I'm coming to Wenatchee in September, October.
So it won't be out.
So it won't be out yet, but it's called Hurricane. It's called Hurricane, and thanks, I hope so. It's called Hurricane, and it was published in the United Kingdom under the title Swallowing the Sun. Okay. But a much better rewritten version is coming out in March of 2008, and it's called Hurricane.
Okay.